shows, on the air since 1951. This is The Legend. 105.3, 95.3, WDXE.
That's us, WDXE. It's time for the Friends and Neighbors Hour, brought to you by Hood Company, Real Estate Services, powered by Keller Williams. And my good guest and my good friend today is Mr. Rick Lanning. Rick, how are you, buddy?
Doing wonderful, Jeff. How are you, pal?
Scoot up to the mic just a little bit. That's good. That's good. Rick, of course, is well known here to a lot of us. Rick Lanning, Rick and Karen and his family own and operate Rick's Barbecue and have for many, many, many years. And a fixture here in Lawrenceburg, Lawrence County. And I thank you, buddy. You and I have been talking about you coming on for a while, and we finally got it worked out, and you finally made it here, and I really do appreciate it. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, and back to you, Jeff. Yeah, I appreciate you and appreciate the radio station. And, you know, before we get started, I'd like to say something about driving in this morning. I want to do a big shout-out to the state of Tennessee for, you know, paving this road out in front of you guys all the way through town. So
yeah,
that's really nice to see. And, you know, I've been dodging those manhole covers for a while, and so I know all you guys have been as well. So hopefully that's going to go away now.
Well, yeah, we get a nice new surface here before too long.
Yeah,
it's going to be nice. Going to be nice. Well, Rick, on the Friends and Neighbors Hour, you are my friend and have been for many, many years. And what we like to kind of, for those who may not know, you like I do and like many, many others do, I want to go way back and find out a little bit about your family history and ask you about that a little bit, because you're a native Lawrence Countian.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so you had folks here and they had folks here. How did your family, or do you know how your family wound up in Lawrenceburg, Lawrence County, or anything like that? Or
well, I can go back to about 1900, and my great-grandpa, he was from Cambridge, Ohio, and he had a couple of brothers that were traveling book salesmen, and they had come through the area, and they really liked the area. So when they got back up to Cambridge, they told my great-grandpa, hey, that's a really nice area down there. So he decided to move down this way, and he set up camp here out in New Prospect about 1900, and he built a canning factory to try to get off the runway and get going. And so it flourished up until about 41. They were canning a lot of tomatoes and sweet potatoes, but it got hard about 41 when the war started, and they couldn't get cans. And so in the deep freeze as well, that kind of put a damper on that business. So he closed it, and he got in the logging business then. But he did a lot of different ventures out in the New Prospect area, but they raised 9 kids, and I'm proud to say he college educated all of them.
oh, really?
He grew sweet potatoes, and that was kind of a neat thing. You know, all of them, all 9 of those kids were, I think 6 made school teachers.
So the nine kids you're talking about would have been, one of them would have been your dad?
Okay, I'm sorry. I kind of jumped a generation. But my great-grandpa had a couple of sons, and the son, Marvin Lanning, he educated his 9 kids out in New Prospect.
Okay.
And but one of them made a dentist, and 2 of them made pharmacists, and 6 of them were school teachers, which several of them taught within the county here. But yeah, and I was always proud of that accomplishment but he did that with the 47 Ford truck, flatbed truck, and he would haul bushels of sweet potatoes from Louisville to Birmingham for lots and lots of years, and that's how he ran his household and educated all 9 of those kids.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so of those 9, can you name them?
Oh, gosh, all 9 of those kids?
Yeah, maybe not.
I think, let me try. Let's shoot. Okay, there's Joanne, then there's Charles, then there's my dad, George, and then there's a set of twins, Pat and Peg, and then there's Francis, and there's Bob, and there's Lillian, and I hope I didn't leave any. I believe that's got all 9 of them.
Yeah.
I may have missed one of them, but yeah, and you know, there's 4 left now of the 9.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very good.
But yeah, so to move forward with that.
So there was quite a clan of the Lanning clan.
Yeah, and Lanning Road out there, that's where all of it started, and I'm really proud of that heritage out there, and just a wonderful area out in New Prospect, and as well as where you're from out there in Deerfield, Jeff, where you're living now. But a lot of good communities in this county.
Well, I grew up in New Prospect myself.
That I remember that. Yeah, you ran around with those notorious Fleeman boys.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Okay.
Yeah, we transplanted out to Deerfield, but I grew up in New Prospect myself.
Yeah.
So very familiar with the Lanning Road and
New Prospect Tigers.
And the even when I was growing up though, the sweet potatoes were still a thing out there.
Yeah, gosh, there were, Alfred Partain, Neely Williams. Arthur Sanders, my grandpa. There was like 6 guys out there that had those sweet potato houses.
Yeah.
And it was huge business out in that area.
Yeah.
For, I'm going to say 40 years.
Yeah. When I was a kid, they were still growing sweet potatoes.
They were.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that was a cool thing. But I got on the tail end of that. I think his last crop was in 62, 63, and I was just a little bit tight then.
Yeah. It's kind of unique, though, that your family was kind of in the food business, and you are too.
Yeah, I've always found irony in that as well. Yeah,
kind of unique.
Everything goes full circle.
So, Rick, not to tell your age, but now you grew up out there in that area, right?
Yes, I'm 65, and we spent a lot of days out there on that farm.
Yeah,
and I like to tell, working with your grandparents, I know a lot of you guys out there have worked with your grandparents and parents on the farm, but I always remember my grandpa, we'd get into a pickle on the farm doing something, and he probably said this 1,000 times to me, Jeff. I'd say, hey, I'll call him Dada. I'd say, hey, Dada, what are we going to do, man? He'd always say the same thing. He'd always say, hey, we're going to do the best we can. And then that's always stuck in my head, so I've always kind of taken on that attitude, just do the best you can with what's put in front of you.
That's a good thought. That's a very good thought. Good thought. Well, I would say that growing up as you did, as a lot of folks did in that era and before, your family instilled a work ethic.
Yes, and I think that was so prevalent in the households back then.
Oh yeah.
Because, gosh, they, those large families, that's how they survived.
Yeah.
That's what they did, and so I think there were so many values instilled in those households back then, when those large families.
Yeah.
And so, so the work ethic, that was just in place.
Yeah.
Everybody had their part.
Well, as you grew up, you were physically capable young man and became an athlete.
Yes, I was fortunate to be involved with a lot of really good people. And Jeff, you run across certain people when you're in athletics that you kind of take a page out of their book. But I was around so many good athletes in high school that we had a really good program over there with the football teams where I was playing. But one particular gentleman that I met was Jerry Adams. And man, was he ever impact on my life. And so I just want to share that, he was one of those people in my life that just said, hey, if you really put yourself in motion, you can accomplish a lot with yourself. So I'd like to just send out a shout out to him and his family, because they're wonderful people. They moved up here from Louisiana, and that was in the right when I started through high school. But he was a treasure of a fella.
What year did you graduate?
77.
You graduated 77.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
and playing football, can you? And I know you can, because a lot of them were in high school when I was in high school. I graduated 79, so I was kind of right behind you, and knew a lot of the same people that you knew, and watched the athletes, the football teams, and all that kind of stuff. And you and I have a lot of common friends that were in school when we were. Yeah. And I was just thinking about, you named some of the athletes that kind of stuck out. Who are some that kind of stick out to you?
Well,
I can name a few, but I know.
yeah,
you can too.
those guys. Honestly, the best part of that ball team back then was our defense, because they carried us all season long for a couple of seasons, and that one year we went to the Clinic Bowl. I think it was in '75.
Mm-hmm.
They were the mainstay of our team. But I think about gosh, what a wonderful fellow Mike Weathers. Was
Yep.
such a
Yep.
part of that, and Ronnie Hartsfield was. And,
Yeah.
And golly jeepers, there was 6 or 8 guys on that defense, and that.
I remember. Let's see, was it Pat Holman on that?
Yeah, Pat played on the line.
Pat was a lineman.
And I haven't seen Pat in a while, but yeah, and then there's a lot of diversity on that team. And, it was an extremely diverse team, but yeah, that was just some fun days. Those high school days. I think a lot of people look back on those days and have so many good memories. So
Yeah.
But that ball team. That was just a special time. Jerry Merriman, he was a coach on that team. He was a dear friend of mine, and Jimmy Williams and Coach Jerome Gaines, and of course Jerry Adams. But
Right.
that chemistry all fell together with that ball team, and things just went really well for us.
You're right about that. Well, you begin to grow up, old buddy.
Yeah, you started.
What happened? What'd you do right out of high school?
Well, I signed to play football down in Louisiana, and I went down there and played quarterback at Northwestern State University down there, and then came home, and we started the barbecue business, and that was in 1979. That was back when Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I gotta say this too, Jeff. I know a lot of you guys that are out there listening. It was 21% interest in 1979 when we opened up, and man, you had to be completely out of your mind to put a business in '79, but we did, and so.
Now, that was down on the corner, for those that remember. You started on the corner of Buffalo Road and the highway.
Yeah.
There on West Gaines, and right at the corner of Buffalo Road there. And was there a building there already?
It was a vacant lot.
It was a vacant lot, wasn't it?
Well, actually, I think there was a car lot there, but let's see. Bobby Gobble, I think, had a car lot there, and so yeah. Anyways, everything fell together, and we bought that corner, and we stayed there for about 20 years, and then I wanted to get on Highway 43 and put a second location, so I built a log cabin, which is what is the pawn shop over by Rotary Park now. But
right.
There's so many stories if you start going back each decade. But fortunately, I think we moved that building twice, and then finally, we landed where we did in front of Murray of Ohio.
Yeah.
And
well, let me back up with you just a little bit, because we skipped over a pretty important part of your life, and that is you met the love of your life, Miss Karen.
Gosh, married way up. All you guys tell me that.
When did that happen? when and how did that happen?
Okay, yeah. Gosh, a lot of things fell together in '79. That's when actually, Karen and I started dating. So we opened the barbecue. I can always remember 7/9/79, and Karen and I started dating 7/7/79. So 2 days before we opened. But like I was saying, all my buddies joke around with me. But man, what's she doing with you? And so but she's extremely special, and she's been the mainstay of keeping everything pulled together. And then jumping from Karen to the kids, we were fortunate and blessed enough to have 4 kids, and we had 2 boys and 2 girls. Have a daughter now in Baltimore. She works for a computer company now, and my daughter in Nashville. She lives in downtown Nashville in real estate. And then 2 boys, they're 34 and 32, Ty and Eric. I don't know what in the world I would do waking up without them, but I've learned to listen a lot more the last few years, and so they're they're running the business now, and I just kind of, hey Dad, what's up? Can you help us go get something or whatever. So that's kind of my role now, and just trying to help them moving on down the road right now.
Yeah. So you and Karen basically started from scratch.
Yeah,
and began the barbecue business.
Yeah.
So how did you decide on getting in the restaurant business and particularly barbecue?
Yeah, just to get into the specialized world of food, just always had a passion for that. With always intrigued with the grill, and and so I had an uncle in Nashville that had a barbecue up there, and I thought, well, let's try it down here, and so we put it down here, and gosh, Jeff, the first 5 years we went backwards when that rate was like 21%. It was, and a lot of you guys will remember there was a fellow that had probably the most well recognized restaurant ever in Lawrenceburg, and it was called the Pyramid Coffee Shop.
That's right.
And it was owned by John Morris and Red Harris, and they opened that thing up in the early '60s. But they stayed in business 38 years, and
they sure did.
And he came out to barbecue one day out on West Gaines, where Jeff said we started out there on the corner of Buffalo Road. And I was talking to Red, and I said, "Hey man, things aren't going that well." I said, and this is about the third year deep into it, and this is about 1982, and Reagan has just gotten office, and things were starting to get better. But he said, "Look, give it 5 years." And he said, if it's not showing a profit, just, think about maybe moving to something else. He said, that was my business plan. And that was probably some of the best advice I'd ever been given in my life, when Red told me just hang in there for a while. And so, I did. And fortunately, everything worked out. And but I want to say this, Jeff, give all the credit to, to God, because that a life can get reckless when you don't stay on course with Him every day. And so,
sure.
And Karen and I both, fortunately, her and I together make a really good team, and so we've always kept that front row center with us, and so that, it's just a wonderful thing to wake up to every morning.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. The Lord has had His hand on you, brother.
Yes, very much so.
As He has many of us.
Yeah. So it's, and I just, I'm so thankful that that we can live in a country we can do that. So,
yeah. I remember passing by many times when you had the restaurant there just beginning, and the smoke.
Oh goodness!
The smoke would be rolling,
yeah.
And I would pass by there like everybody else in Lawrenceburg, and went, "Man, that smells good. We got to stop and get some barbecue."
That funny story just jumped in my mind, Jeff. I finally gave a key to the fire department, because those pits would catch on fire so much out there at that original barbecue.
Yeah.
And I did. One day I just took it down there, and so they had a key, all those guys are pretty much retired now, but that was always something that was they expected it to catch on fire from time to time.
Well, you were dealing with quite a lot of fire.
Yeah, every day.
And you had a big pile of wood out there, that hickory, and and I laugh sometimes because I actually have a visual memory of passing by there one day, and you were coming out of the smoke room. You were coming out. Mm-hmm. And you were actually smoking.
You smoking a cigarette?
No. I mean, you had. By the way, you had a lot more hair then.
Yeah, a lot more hair.
and you literally looked like you were smoking when you walked out.
Yeah,
you looked like,
it was pretty intense in there. Yeah, but it was golly jeepers. So many good memories out there with so many people.
You got some photographs around at your restaurants now.
Yeah, I got a few.
Some of the old days.
Yeah, there's one of my. And my mom, my goodness, I wouldn't be sitting here right now without my mom,
Yeah.
And everybody out there listening land knows how important that mom is in your life. But my mom was extra special. She was always there for me. And so, there's a picture that I don't even know who made that picture, but one of the ladies at the barbecue back in about 1980, they took that picture, and so I'm so glad they did, because I blew it up and put it in all the stores, tribute to her. But yeah, she was special.
Yeah, that's indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about your family a little more there because you have brothers. You have brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I have a brother in Murfreesboro. He drove for us for 32 years up there, and we put a couple of stores up in Murfreesboro, and his daughter, Anne Marie, she's in charge up there in Murfreesboro now, and and Mike's since retired, kind of like he's helping her when he can up there. And then I have three sisters, and I got one little sister. I think she's got I've always thought I had the hardest job in the county, but she works for NHC and has for about 40 years. And she's over all the home health and sending girls out into the field every day. And I know that's a hard job. And so she's done that out on Buffalo Road for a lot of years. And then my sister Linda, she taught in the school system for about 45 years, and she died about 5 months ago. Yeah, and
she was so loved.
Oh my goodness! And she poured into so many kids, and but she originally taught at West Highland, and went to Ingram Sal, and then she went up to Murray County, and But yeah, she's sorely missed by all of us, and But man, like you say, Jeff, she impacted so many kids when all those years that she taught, and then my other sister, Julie, she's a school psychologist here in Lawrence County, and she goes around to all the schools and evaluates a lot of gifted kids and does a whole lot more stuff up there. But she works at the school board up by the high school. And so three sisters, one brother. And
well, your family has been a part of Lawrence County for so long. And then you and your siblings remained here for the most part and been able to create a life here in Lawrenceburg and Lawrence County and have been just a positive influence, I think, for a lot of folks.
Well, thanks, Jeff. But there's so many wonderful things about the people of this county, and they've been so loyal to us over the years and helped us build our business, and then now I'm seeing what's going on with Lawrence County and Lawrenceburg, and it's got such a wonderful forecast in the future. I see a lot of new names that come into these barbecues now, and so it's coming. A lot of that mainly from Nashville down. It's really starting to grow now, and so I'm excited for all these young people in this area. They're going to see so much growth in the next, I think, within the next decade.
Oh, I think so too. I think so too. There's a lot of positive energy. I guess that was a good way to put it. In our little neck of the woods here, southern Tennessee in general. But we're right in the middle of all of it. It seems to be some good things happening for us. Well, the restaurant business grew. We started you out there on the corner, and then we talked about you moving up there. And I'd kind of forgotten about where the Moe's Pawn Shop is now. I'd forgotten about you. You had a presence there for a little while.
Well, I tell you when I was able to finally build that log building, I moved it up in front of the Goodwill, which was Kmart at the time in the early 80s. And if you remember that old shopping center, it had Super X. Kroger was actually housed there too. And Kmart. Well, we got set up there, and I was behind the old Amico station there, that station across from Hardee's. And I was back behind there, and I was leasing that property. And so I stayed there 10 years, but what happened during that 10 years was Kmart closed. Super X closed, Kroger moved, so there was nobody in that shopping center except us. So I just thought, okay, we're going backwards again here. So then I picked that building up and I moved it over there on that corner. I bought from a lot of these guys. Remember Mr. Hicks' garage there on the corner?
Yeah, I sure do.
So I bought Mr. Hicks's garage, and Mabel Legg. She lived there behind. It had Mabel's Wishy-Washy, so she was such a great neighbor. But anyways, we got that barbecue started over there then, and so we got going in about the second year. That's when Murray closed, and I thought, man, because I was hoping, that that would work over there. So, fortunately, a lot of people may not remember this, but 25 years ago, the building that we're in now they came in town as a Burger King, and for some unknown reason, I don't know, Jeff, they closed it after about 3 years. So, anyways, I called about it, and fortunately, I was able to buy that from them, and so we've been there the last 25 years, which that was a blessing because I didn't know what I was going to do, where I was going to go after Murray closed. So, that worked out really well. And then we started thinking, well, let's go outside of Lawrenceburg, and so I put a store in Muscle Shoals, and
now, was that the first outside of Lawrenceburg store?
It was, and I think that was in 88, 89, and then put one over in Florence on Cox Creek Parkway the next year, and then just started going from there, just building stores in different cities, and like I say, the boys fortunately, that they were interested in what we do, and so. And I still ask them every day. I said, "Hey, man, you sure you like what we're doing here?" Because I've often said, food service, it is what it is. You've got a passion for it, then you wake up to a wonderful world every day. But and that's one thing I like to say, Jeff, about when you find something in life that you've got a passion to do, just give it, just jump in there and give it everything you got, and good things will start to happen.
Yeah.
And fortunately, that's what the boys, they really like what we're doing. I got a good buddy here in town that's got 2 kids the same age as the 2 boys that Karen and I have. Well,
Rick, somebody, if they just came across and just all of a sudden there's Rick's, all of a sudden they see you and they've got all these, you got multiple stores now. They would think, well, what an overnight success you are, But I happen to know that it's taken 45 years or more for you to do what you've done.
Man, you hit the mark. 45 years. That, yeah, it is. I mean, but
how about that? You've thought about that? I'm sure you have. But I mean,
I've seen a lot of business just take off like a jet, and then some of them, you just have to continually, move to the next thing, But I think there's a lot of learning curves at a slower pace.
Sure.
You learn so much about.
Well, as you expanded, the original restaurant, as we talked about that, all the cooking was done right there.
Yes,
so this is a whole different world you got going on now.
Well, I would encourage, if anybody ever wants to say, "Hey, I'd like to go on a tour," the commissary that we built, I'd love to, to get together, and I'll take you on a walk through what we do down there. It's down by Story and Lee, that commissary we built.
I'm going to take you up on that. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, come on down there.
I'd like to see that.
And you're, when you walk out of the pit room, you're going to look like you're smoking too. 'Cause, I mean, you can't hardly see your hand in front of your face when, this time of the morning we got all the meat smoking. And last year I think we smoked over 2 million pounds of product back there. But anyways, is that?
I don't know if that's somebody. Yeah, that's somebody who wants to talk to us. Let's see.
Okay, sure.
They may want to ask a question. Hey, buddy.
Well, King, you finally made it to the big show.
Hang on just a second. Let me put your headphones on so you can hear. Can you hear him now?
Hello?
Hey, King, you finally made it to the big show.
Oh, good. This is the King right here. This is the one of my.
If Red and Snake could see you now, what would they think?
Oh, my goodness. Hey, Dennis, this is Dennis Tipper, guys. And Dennis, just tell one quick story, because Dennis was across the road. A lot of you guys remember the old Pollock service station there. That was across the street. So Dennis and I became really good friends in the 80s out there. But all those little kids on Buffalo Road would come down there, and they would keep Dennis and me entertained, especially on those hot summer days. But Dennis, pull out one story, man, because I know you got a bunch of them.
Well, I guess the one I remember the most is they all thought I was a doctor down there.
Okay.
They called me Dr. Dennis. For some reason, they thought I was a doctor there on the corner.
Yeah.
I could tell a lot of good stories about Rick
goodness.
down there, and I can remember the house beside it. And up the ladder there, Karen was baking cookies up there.
Yeah, we lived there we finally were able to buy a home, and so we moved off that corner, that little house back behind the barbecue.
I didn't realize y'all were living there.
Oh gosh, yeah. Ty was actually our first son was born out there, and we didn't have a yard. It was just a concrete.
Rick's been a big inspiration to this community out there. He's did a lot for us.
Yeah.
Well,
He's got
thank
a
you,
big
Dennis.
heart. He's a great guy, a hard worker.
Well, thank you.
He's got some good barbecue.
That's right.
Dennis, I know you're going to be standing outside in the parking lot wanting to be paid for saying that.
I know it. I make you a good deal on it. We'll work out something.
Thank you, Dennis.
Hey,
Yes,
Dennis,
sir. See ya.
See you, buddy.
I love you, man. See ya.
Big D.
Yeah.
Can't beat him.
No, you can't.
Oh my gosh. Well, he's right about this though. You a great part of the community and have been for your entire life.
Thank you.
Really. And then of course you became a local businessman, and that means more than just something for you. You have benefited a lot of people who have worked for you, and worked for you and Karen. And gosh, I see some faces that have been with you for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And then you have new kids that come on and need that part-time work and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty remarkable.
Shane Clark, who had a lot of success up here at Lawrence County High School.
Yeah.
And a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
But he said something to me one day about the biggest thrill he gets about his career up there at high school. He's since retired. But he said, that kid that he coached through high school or had in the classroom, they would come up to him at Christmas. They'd come in from school, and they would seek him out in the hallways and would tell him 2 or 3 years later how big of an inspiration he was on them. So being in business, Jeff, the thing about, we all get up every morning and we seek to do what we do, but when you start weighing out, going to work and making money, and you get to a point to where relationships are a lot more important than a dollar bill.
Oh yeah.
And when it gets to that point, it changes your whole perspective on what you wake up to every morning. So, I can think of so many people that's worked at the barbecue the last 45 years, and like you say, they're still here 30-something years later.
Yeah.
And it's just a wonderful thing to like right now. The guy that helps me cook the barbecue, he's been with me 35 years. And so,
oh wow!
And so there's just so many people like that you're fortunate enough to be in company with. But yeah, gosh, I know there's. I'd like to say one thing about one girl that works at the store up here in Lawrenceburg. Her name's Wendy, and she's been there 18 years, and she's a very, very special lady. I've watched her over the years, and she inspires me so much every time I see her.
Yeah. And
there's so many other kids that you see that now they got their own kids, and now they got their own kids. So we're into the third generation of this thing. So, yeah. But I don't know. I just appreciate it.
So you started here, had the one store that moved around a little bit, and then finally landed the main one, which I say the main one, the big location right in the middle of town, right there, which was that Burger King spot. But you were able to put the restaurant there and made it really nice. And you've gone through a couple of remodels on that since you've been there.
Yeah, we built on there a couple of times, and it's funny. We got off onto this thing about changing. We went through an urban look, then we went back to the rustic look, and which I think that's who we are as a model of being in the barbecue business. But we built several stores with the urban look, and for some reason about around Y2K that was the look. So so we migrated back into what we are, and so that store's been through a lot of transition with the look the last 10 years up there.
So, and then the store you said Muscle Shoals, that was the first one, and then I don't remember might have been next? Florence, Cox Creek.
Yeah, I went to
Parkway?
Florence, and then we went to. Oh goodness!
So there's two in Florence now, isn't there? There's one right across.
There's four.
There's four.
There's two muscle shoals and two in Florence.
Yes.
And then, Ardmore and Fayetteville and Waynesboro and Murfreesboro and I don't know. There's 10 total.
10 total.
10. Yeah, there's 10 of them. And but
So a lot of cooking has to take place. Is what
yeah,
I want to get to.
Okay, I'm gonna plug the business for a second.
Go ahead and plug it one time.
Okay, well, as far as taking pride, Jeff, into what we do, since back in the inception of what we do, we've never sold a frozen product. The pork, the beef, the ham, the chicken, the ribs, everything it never enters a frozen state. It's always fresh. It's packaged. It's taken. We vacuum seal everything right off the pits. We take it to the stores, and so it's extremely fresh.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing I never wanted to get away from is the freshness of the product. And
Right.
So to this day, we still do that every sandwich, every plate, all the meat that's on the potatoes and the nacho, everything that we serve. It's as fresh as we can possibly get it to our customer, and so
Yeah.
So, and I'm proud of that. It's
Well, that brings about the consistency. So I mean, if you go to one Rick's here or Rick's there, you're going to get that same good Rick's flavor. That's what you're talking about.
yes, yeah, and that speaks, for all those guys that work in the pit room, that like I say, I'd love for anybody to come down and see it, and but it's very labor intense, but it's extremely gratifying to know the at the end product is what it is. So
Can you describe that? Of course, I'm sure you have obviously commercial smokers. What's the difference now in the smokers that you're using now and what you used there on the corner?
Very little. We still use hickory wood. We smoke the product, and hickory wood, it is what it is. I think it's the best wood there is to smoke with. I've got a buddy down in Texas, and he sends me up some mesquite wood. Everybody down that way, because there's no hickory down that way, because hickory is a real unique wood. It only grows a certain region in the U.S., and so we're fortunate enough to have hickory wood here. But anyways, hickory, and then a lot of people like the peach and apple. They like the fruit woods, but hickory is just, I wish I could bottle that aroma.
It's just a traditional. It's just a traditional good barbecue wood.
Yeah, but our recipe actually, Jeff, came out of North Carolina. That's where it originated over there, and so it just kind of migrated this way. And I think if I understand this right, there was a big influx of people from North Carolina that moved into Wayne County, and I think they kind of brought that recipe over this way. It's a vinegar-based barbecue, and so I'm real fond of it. The vinegar-based hickory smoked barbecue is it's just really good.
Well, it's good.
Well, thanks. Yeah,
it's good barbecue.
So, but anyways, I'm sitting there thinking about Dennis Tipper. I wish we'd have kept him on the line a little longer.
Poor old Dennis.
He's always got a good story. So
he's been a good friend here to the station. He calls and talks to me every so often, and especially if we got a guest, sometimes he chimes in because he's kind of like you. He knows a lot of folks.
Yeah,
he's been around a while too.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, Dennis, I remember him. Gosh, back when he sold cars down at Lloyd Carroll Motors in the '60s.
Oh yeah.
So that was when it was south of town there. But there's been the landscape of Lawrenceburg's changed a lot, but like I say, referring back to the growth of Lawrenceburg, that it is going to be a wonderful. It's just a great town to raise kids. Yeah. First and foremost, it's just a family-oriented town.
Well, Rick, I'm going to kind of lead into where we are today, and you and I see each other on a fairly regular basis, and talk, and not only you and I, but you and me and several other guys that like to get together and share stories, share life, and of course our common faith that we share. And I was just going to ask you a little bit about, because your focus now, of course, as young guys, when we got started trying to carve out a living, our focus is, how we're going to make it, what are we going to do, and you and I both have gotten to the point where, I guess for the cliche, I guess we've made it, if you want to call it that, but now we're just enjoying some life.
Yes.
And trying to be an influence, and I know you are, and that's one of the things I want to ask you about, because I've been extremely proud of you and several other guys that are a positive influence in the community, and I feel it, I see it, I know what kind of person and people you and Karen are, and you guys are a positive influence, and I appreciate it. I really, really do.
Thanks so much, Jeff. And again, back to you, because I know what you do, but what Jeff's referring to is, and I guess I can plug this, and
Sure.
I want to plug this.
I don't mind at all.
But every Thursday morning at 9, out at, a lot of you guys know where the pepper plant out by Rent Right, but we've got a group of guys that meet out there every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, and it's been a wonderful thing. We've had as many as 20 plus out there, and we just go out there and share, and we have so much good fellowship out there. But I want to invite anybody that wants to come, and we hopefully can grow it into bigger numbers, and we've got sites on a bigger venue.
Well, we've prayed together, we've shared together, we've studied together, and talked about the things that are important, the things that we've kind of gained a little wisdom enough to figure out what is important.
Right, that's right. Yeah, and at my dad's funeral, I remember my nephew got up there, and some of these things that you hear, you just stick in your pocket and you run with them the rest of your life. But my nephew got up there, and he was speaking at my dad's funeral, and this is back in 2012.
Yeah.
And he said, George, a lot of people, you guys knew my dad, George Lanning. He was a pharmacist for a lot of years. But anyways, Nathan Hartsfield's my nephew, and I'm really proud of him. He teaches up here at Lawrence County High School.
Yeah. And
Charlie Lloyd, I'll give him a plug too. That's my other nephew.
Yeah.
And he teaches up there as well. But anyways, he said, George said something to me one time. He said, you got to live a lot of life just to learn a little.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're saying, Jeff, because all of us, to that learning curve of life, sometimes it comes sooner than later, but, it's just a wonderful thing to be in company of all those guys out there, and I'm learning as I go out there. But it's a very diverse group.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm just thankful we can all get together on those Thursday mornings now, and it's Bill Adams, a good buddy of mine that owns the Rent Right out there. He spearheaded this thing, and so he's given us an opportunity to use that out there right now. So kudos to Bill Adams. I hope you're listening out there, dude. So, okay.
He may be driving.
Oh goodness.
He took a group. Excuse me. I'm sorry. He took a group of young people to a church camp, and he decided to drive them in the prison bus.
That sounds just like him. Yeah. He's.
But I'm sure they enjoyed every second of it. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and he's like Jimmy Ann. Bill's like me. He married way up when he got Jimmy Ann.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure everybody in radio land knows that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
well, we all out punted our coverage there, buddy.
Yeah.
As we say.
As
we say. Well, so what's on your agenda now? What's the future like for Rick Lanning?
Oh gosh, we 3 grandkids now.
Yeah. Well, that's a big deal.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I know a little bit about that. That's a big deal.
So, if I'm so thankful for that. But
you know what? I got a buddy. You may want to listen to this phone call.
Oh goodness, I'm scared to know who this might be.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jeff Hood. This is Daphne Cope calling.
Yeah, you need to let Rick get his earphones on so
All
he can
right.
hear.
Hello.
Now tell him who you are again.
Yes, Rick, this is Daphne Cope calling. And
Okay,
I've
hold on a
hesitated to
second.
call in
I'll have
because I
him-
didn't want to interrupt the dialogue that's going.
Yeah.
But I did want to say this morning that what a wonderful citizen that you people have been. And that I don't know, I've always said that I would defend to the end of the day Rick Lanning and Johnny Fleeman because
Yeah.
you boys have worked. You have worked.
Well,
You've earned
yes.
everything that you've ever done in this community, and I just want to express my opinion this morning and just tell you how much we do appreciate. And believe it or not, I lived all those moves that you made.
Well-
I'm getting to be one of the oldest persons in this community, but anyway, kudos to y'all,
Yeah.
and we just want continued success. And your boys are doing well, and I believe Eric was in leadership Lawrence County, and he's a fine young man. I don't know the other young men as well, but anyway, they're going to carry on this legacy, and y'all just keep up the good work. And I just wanted to say that this morning.
Daphne, thank you so much. That's so heartfelt, and I want to tell you I love you, and I've respected you for all those years of service. That, you know, you were front row center for so many years for so many people in this community, and I, you know, like you say, I watched that, and you were an integral part of all that, because we can go back to, I can dig them out of the archives. Let's go with Ivan Johnson when we opened back in '79, and the list goes on. But you were there, so and you've seen it all mapped out over the years. But I just want to tell you, I have ultimate respect for you, and that I love you and your family.
Well, likewise. And I will tell you, as long as Jackson Ferguson's living, you don't have to worry about the business ever going.
Yeah.
He eats over there at least twice a week.
Yeah, I know.
Three times a week, and
well,
would eat over there every day.
Yeah.
So when he's in town for sure.
Well,
But
thank
anyway, it was my pleasure to,
Yes.
to work through that history of and some of the original things that took place. That was just my pleasure to be there. And so when you leave, it's just like what you said. You want to leave it to where someone else picks up the reins and they keep going. So you guys are the best, and y'all just keep up the good work. And Jeff, we love your program. So keep the visitors coming on in, and we're glad to hear from you. There.
Hey, love you, hon. Thank you.
Same to you now. Goodbye.
Thank you, Daphne.
What a sweet lady, Miss Daphne. Gosh,
Yeah.
just love her.
Yes, and that's. I get to see Monica every now and then.
Yes.
They were all given a gift.
Oh yes,
They
were.
were so special.
They are. Miss Monica,
Yeah.
I get the biggest kick out of talking to her.
Oh, man.
Or Miss Daphne, any of them.
Yeah,
Any of them.
that's fun stuff.
Fantastic. My guest today, of course, is Mr. Rick Lanning, and made, of course, Rick's Barbecue, put it on the map. Been a tremendous influence here in the county, and just an employer. Rick, I don't want to put you on the spot, but how many folks does Rick's Barbecue employ now? A whole bunch.
It's 300.
300 maybe?
Something like that.
That's major. That's major. Let's see who this is. Somebody else wants to talk to us. How are you?
Good morning.
Who am I talking to?
This is actually Rick's eldest daughter, Alexa.
Oh, Alexa.
Oh my goodness, Lex! You're calling me from Baltimore, girl.
How are you?
I am doing well. I'm
surprise.
roughly close to 1,000 miles away, but wanted to call to ask a few questions of some wings that I hear Rick's are making now.
We're making wings?
Yeah, I hear
Lex.
that Rick has some wings that I've yet to try.
Oh, okay.
Goodness. Well, Lex, this is such a surprise. I'm so glad you called. But hey, the wings. Well, they're going well. We started them about 3 months ago, and and you haven't eaten them yet. You need to come.
No, I was
you
about
need to
to
come
say,
home.
what kind of... Well, I've seen pictures of them. What kind of sauces do y'all have for the wings?
Oh gosh, we've got 4 different sauces, but the sauce is 79 sauce, which is back when we opened. But when are you going to come home and see your mother? By the way, you can eat some wings when you come home and see her.
Well, work's got me a little bit busy, but I just wanted to call and just...
I am so glad you did. Yes.
Yeah. It's I hope you guys are doing well, and you'll have to ship me some of those wings pretty soon.
Okay, and I shall. I'm going to call you here in just a little bit when we get off the air. Okay.
What a great surprise! Thank you for calling,
Yeah.
hon.
I love you,
Oh
Lex.
my gosh, y'all have a good day.
All right,
Thank you.
baby. I
Thank
love
you.
you. Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Well, that's pretty special, old buddy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's pretty
How does it
special.
get any better than that, Jeff?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
No, it don't.
It doesn't get better than
But
that.
I like to talk. Let me say something before we get off the air about my grandkids because
Please
I
do.
like to finish up with that. But
Yeah.
Willow's my 5-year-old, and she's so full of spirit and just
Yeah.
so good, so wonderful. But she'll be like in the first grade this year, and then we have Reed, who's 4 years old, and then we have Liam, who is about to turn 1 year old. So we got 2
Yes.
boys and a girl, and hopefully, get to spend a lot of years with them in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
That's pretty awesome.
uh-huh.
Pretty awesome. We're experiencing that ourselves and understand a little bit about that. There
Yeah.
just doesn't. There's just no love like children love.
No.
You know.
Yeah, somebody said that you find a place in your hearts you don't realize you never had when you have grandkids.
Yeah.
So Karen and I getting to experience that right now. So, but Jeff, I want to say about you guys too. What y'all do for the community is extremely special. Like Daphne said, and I think right now, closing out, I just want you to know that. I told Karen I wanted to say this before we went off the air, but all you guys out there that are wanting to ever look at what matters that I've found out over the years is the relationships you have with him, like we talked about
That's
that
right.
meeting.
That's right.
That it all comes down to, do I have that personal relationship
Sure.
with him, and if that's in place, your day goes a lot better every day.
Every day.
And I just want to encourage people when they're having those hard days, just think about him, find you a quiet place, and just slow down and, like he
Yeah.
says, be still and know who he is.
That's right.
And
And
so,
what? I
yeah.
think I can say this. If you'd like to know more about what we're talking about, you or I, either one, would talk to anybody about that.
Yeah.
And I know you would.
Yeah, and so
I know you would.
So yeah, come on out there Thursday morning at 9:00. I wish that it'd be fuller than the Walmart parking lot tomorrow. Bill Adams wouldn't know what to do if they showed up in the
That'd be
morning.
great. That'd
out
be
there.
great.
But and thanks, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you having me on, Jeff.
I have, you and I have talked about you being here for quite some time. We finally got you here, and I'm so glad. I've enjoyed every minute of it, Rick.
Thank you, sir.
God bless, buddy.
Yeah, you too.
We got to go.
All right.
Unites us and strengthens our country.
His daughter-in-law also spoke.
I have seen this man dragged through hell and back, in and out of courtrooms, indictments.